Good morning and welcome to Behind the Screen. I am JM, and this is a show where we hang out, we talk about things that are beautiful, things that inspire us, things that make us want to be better players, better game masters, better humans. So good morning to everyone on Twitch side, John Doom, Padre, and Grom, and we have the Savage Goose with us over on the YouTube side. Savage Goose, always good to see you. Yes, we're going to be doing a lot of Savage Worlds here in February. We're going to look at a couple of new things that have come out from Savage Worlds. Then I'm going to talk about, I've seen a lot of these videos like, what are the 5 games you should be playing in 2024? Or in one case, what are the 5 games you should give up in order to play more 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons? And I'm going to kind of do my own, like, what are the 5 reasons? And I think I've got it narrowed down to 10 reasons. So there'll be a part 1 and part 2 on why you should be playing Savage Worlds in 2024. Good morning to Tink as well. So today we are talking about new products that have come out just recently. I got my hands on, well, this, which we're going to start talking about on Thursday and then again on Tuesday. Savage Rifts, Terror on the Dark Frontier. And this is a sandbox campaign a la the horror at Headstone Hill, but for Savage Rifts. And I'm very, very excited about talking about that. But before that, we're going to talk today about Land of a Thousand Isles, which is chock full with so much goodness that I don't even know where to begin. That's not true. I always know where to begin. We'll begin at the beginning, for it is a good place to start. So, Land of a Thousand Isles is set in South America, and for those of you who know your Rifts lore, that's one of the places that the events that kicked off the domino effect that led to the coming of the Rifts happened. There's a limited nuclear exchange in, I believe it's Argentina, and that's kind of what starts this up. And right, Atlantis comes back, flooding the coastal waters and flooding the Amazon basin, turning South America into a land of a thousand isles. Now, the South America books for Rifts were written by C.J. Corella, who did a lot of amazing, amazing work in the setting development of Rifts, Pantheons of the Megaverse, South America 1 and 2. But South America 1 and 2, while loved for the setting material, at least in my group, and this has kind of been my experience in talking with people online. Also, apologies, I have a bit of a frog in my throat today. Suffered from one of the other hallmarks of CJ's books. While they were always deeply flavorful and just wonderful setting material, they were wildly overpowered compared to everything else in the Rifts universe, and kind of continued this idea of power creep continuing with each book. So that brings us to Land of a Thousand Isles. This is the Savage Worlds book that attempts to reconcile Aftermath, South America 1 and 2, more of Rifts Underseas and some of Rifts Lemuria into the Savage Worlds, Savage Rifts framework. And it is... it's true. John, you think the maze is bad in Deadlands? Welcome to South America in Rifts. Actually, I'm writing some stuff for Southern California, some adventures in Southern California for my Deadlands group, and so I'm deeply steeped in the maze right now. So one of the things that I love about this is the fact that it gets rid of a lot of the baggage of South America 1 and 2 for Rifts. The power level is brought back in line with Savage Rifts while maintaining that flavor. Good morning to both Mark and Bob. Bob, always good to see you, my friend. Mark, same to you as well. Mark's actually playing in my Deadlands game with Tink and the Realm Builder guy. We're about halfway through Act 2 on Horror at Headstone Hill. So, what do you get in this homage to not just CJ's work in South America, but I would argue in the broader work in the Rift's Megaverse? Well, you get a ton of new iconic frameworks. You can play as Amazon huntresses, the wildly overpowered yet very cool anti-monsters. So anti-monsters are a techno-wizardry bioborg that gets, you basically give up your humanity and become this horrific monster-looking thing with the sole purpose of going out and hunting down the supernatural creatures that threaten the area. Kind of playing that back into that theme that I've said that I keep seeing in Rifts of giving up your humanity to protect humanity. Savage Goose, see you later, sir. There are also biomancers, which are sort of the opposite of necromancers. They deal with kind of the growth and the life that you would see in the Amazon jungle. Demigods, which were introduced as a playable RCC in Pantheons of the Megaverse, make their appearance in Land of a Thousand Isles. And additionally, the team did an amazing job of, instead of giving you all of these pantheons, they broke them up almost into domains, like we would see in 13th Age or D&D 5th edition. So you can pick the domain of your divine parentage, and that gives you abilities to draw from. So if you want to play Thor, you would pick Storms, Weather, and Thunder, but that would also let you pick Baal or Zeus or Thunderbird or oh, no, my brain died on the Japanese god of thunder, Raiden. Aha. So kind of helps navigate or give a lot of flavor to this archetype. The Gizmoteer, which is sort of a psionic techno wizard, is the easiest way to explain it. But my favorites are the Line Makers and the Rune Warriors, because these tap into the magic of the Nazca lines, which, if you don't know, are these massive structures, line art, if you will, that can only really be seen from kind of a vast altitude. And the idea is that the ancient Nazcas were dimensional travelers and fought against a variety of different entities that were trying to take over Earth in the past, and that these lines give them are very deep and powerful magic, and you can create new ones or tap into them to create like kind of a symbiotic suit of armor. Yes, Padre. Yes, that is sort of this idea that warriors give up themselves to save their own people. If you look at traditional roles and symbolism in sort of the ancient cultures, there was a dividing line between men and women, but it's not the line that you would think. All of the male energy was focused outward, right, to defend the periphery of home against external forces, whereas the women's defensive power was focused inward to protect that which was inside and defend it from internal enemies. And I think that there's this idea of, heroes go out, in The Hero's Journey by Joseph Campbell, they lose something. You have to lose something when you step out of the normal, into the wild, but you gain something when you return. I mean, even though not a typical example of this, right? Frodo, Frodo can't go back because he's lost too much. He ends up going to the Undying Lands. Bob has been to the Nazca Lands. Bob, actually, you can't see it, but right down there, is the knife you gave me, the knife that you carried with you when you went there. I still have your Tonto knife that you gave me all those years ago. Yes, John Malzahn has that happen quite a bit. Yes, that is the basis of Jackals as well. Yes, we have some spam. Tink will be on it here in a second. Then you also have your Mars, your mercenaries, adventurers, scholars, and rogues. You can play a blood rider, a duelist, a battle master, a monster hunter, the megaverseal troopers, which I love. So we'll get into that in a little bit. No, Bob, seriously, hold on. This is for no one on the channel, but me and Bob. There it is, man. You gave it to me as a birthday present one time, and I keep it near me. Always kind of in a little place of prominence. It's the gift from Bob. So, a couple of new races, and then we get into, actually a lot of new races. Do you like mutant animals? This is the place to play mutant animals. A ton of new edges and gear and hindrances, downtime actions, and then we get into the actual Land of 1,000 Islands. And remember, what you got to remember is this book is attempting to reconcile two Savage Rifts, two multi-100-page Palladium supplements, South America 1 and South America 2. And they, kudos to the team. You did an amazing job. As I'm reading through this, all of my favorite things are here. We're going to kind of cover some of them at a very high level so that you as a GM can figure out what you want to bring into your group. One of the nice things about Rifts is, while everything is geographically segmented because of the existence of Rifts, it's very easy to just pick up a monster hunter and toss them into a New West game because a rift. Or your group is around Castle Refuge and there's a rift. Now you're in South America for the next several adventures, trying to find your way home. And I will be honest, when we played a lot of Rifts, it really was. It didn't matter where you were. As soon as a GM got a new book, you were going to get rifted to some new part of the world or some new dimension because look at all the new shinies. So, yeah. John, we'll either do... I've got it narrowed down to 3 when I run. We'll either do the South America adventure, we'll do Terror on the Dark Frontier, or we'll do the one from... I want to say it's Arcana and Mysticism. The Nixla one. Because the Soul Harvesters arc has always been one of my favorites. So, what do you get inside this book as a GM? So that's the player side. Ton of new edges, iconic frameworks, and equipment. Everything you want out of a new Rift supplement. I do remember that time that we nearly died on that cliff. Bob, we need to do more adventuring, or at least do a podcast where we called And Then We Died. We'll call it And Then We Died, and we'll talk about all the times that we almost died, and probably did in a branching timeline. But we spent our bennies, and that's why we're still around to make cool things together. So you have, in the Northern Isles, you have the vampiric kingdom of Hakla. You have the Republic of Columbia, which the Tomorrow Legion actually is reaching out to and trying to set up relations with as they start branching out from North America. This is the focus of the plot point campaign in this book. You also have Baha'i, which is sort of a Voodooan controlled kingdom. Again, the pirate kingdoms. You have a number of other things, but the things I really want to focus on are the Megaversal Legion, and the invasion by... Gotta pull up my my notes here. The invasion by the Archons. So the Archons are this feline race that has a weird new form of technology. They have tried to invade South America several times over the past, and they are currently at war with several of the kingdoms in South America. And so you have, between the Nazca line magic and the Biomancers and the Loa, you have this very high magic that's very steeped in the regional history and magic, juxtaposed against the Archon invasion, which are these feline aliens that are trying to take over. And then you have the Megaversal Legion, and then you have all the bioengineering. So the Megaversal Legion, they're a legion, like a vast army that is taken from, they used to be slaves. In fact, what would happen is this alien race would come through and take entire groups of soldiers, fit them with cybernetics and weaponry, and sell them out to the highest bidder somewhere else in the Megaverse. Including the Lost Legion of Rome from Hispania, which, I mean, if you know me, I was on board as soon as they said Lost Legion from Rome. And so you have this, they've recently returned to Earth, have their freedom, and they're now involved in this war as well. So South America really, C.J. Carella's flavor, really pushed the limits of the setting's magic versus technology, or magic coexisting with technology, that we've known and love in Savage Rifts, or in regular Rifts and now in Savage Rifts. In fact, the plot point campaign is called A Tale of Two Legions, I believe. Two Legions. And it's basically the Twilight Legion and the Megaversal Legion coming together to try and solve something. So in addition to the overview of just more kingdoms than I can go into in a short behind the screen, and all of those iconic frameworks, and a plot point campaign, and a setting rife with super magic and super technology, there are a couple of new powers. There's a little essay on religion in Rifts, and some new things like magic circles, curses, and again, this book is chocked new heroes journeys for people who are from the Land of a Thousand Islands, which, if you remember, the Land of a Thousand or hero journey roles are ways of customizing your character. You make so many based off your iconic framework, and that gives you just random special abilities or special pieces of gear or an extra edge. It lives up to the Savage Worlds, Savage Rifts, I won't say motto, but theme, that this is the most complex version of Savage Worlds. These iconic frameworks are no exception. You're going to start off at novice rank as a complete and utter badass and grow from there. And of course, there's a ton of new monsters in the book. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that. So yeah, if you want to try fantasy, science fantasy craziness of a different genre, I would highly recommend picking up Land of a Thousand Islands. Mainly because this is based off a ton of cultures and ideas that don't normally get exposure in the typical fantasy games that we play, or even in the science fiction games that we play. It is, again, each of the Savage Rifts books that come out refines their admixture of Savage Worlds and Rifts, Pinnacle and Palladium a bit more, and it gets the ratios better and better as it moves forward. It also completely smooths out the power creep that typically happens with the later books in Rifts. And actually, I don't even know that we could call South America, the later books, because South America was 6, and South America 2 was Rift's book 9. So yeah, that power creep happened early. So that is our look at Land of a Thousand Islands. I've got the link in the show notes if you want to pick up the PDF from Drive-Thru. The physical books obviously are shipping. You can get those over at Pinnacle Entertainment Group. Thursday, we're going to talk about Terror on the Dark Frontier, which is this massive box set. It's the first boxed adventure for Rifts that I know of. Now, while you had things in Rifts like the Tolkien War Campaign, Sourcebook 1, and there were adventure ideas that were put in there, like the Soul Harvesters in Skyscape. You never really had a campaign in Rifts, as we've seen in other games. There's no Rod of Seven Parts, or Temple of Elemental Evil, or Masks of Nyarlathotep, or The Enemy Within when it came to Rifts. Rifts was always a game that said, hey, here's a couple of ideas, here's some short hook, line, and sinkers, here's a meta plot. Maybe the Juicer Uprising gave you a couple of adventures to string together, but nothing like a meaty campaign. And that's what you get in Terror on the Dark Frontier. You get a sandbox campaign set in a fully fleshed out area of the New West. And so we're going to cover that on Thursday and probably on Tuesday, the next Tuesday as well, because I'm really excited about this adventure. I'd love to run it. Again, I would put it, after my first reading, it feels very much like a Horror at Headstone Hill style adventure, which if you know me, you know how much I love the Horror at Headstone Hill. I'm running it for the 3rd time with a different group. So, yeah. So, until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, stay gaming. I am Jay. This has been Behind the Screen. It's good to see all of you. Thank you all for joining us, and I will see you all later. Until Thursday, have a good one.